Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you all for still being here. My name is Emanuela Mitrea, and I'm the CMO of Cryptodata, or the big sister of the team since the very beginning. I have the great honor to introduce to you one challenging project, not more challenging than the car, but challenging from its purpose for which it was made, which is the climate change, but we'll bore you later with that issue. Decentralized Connectivity Redefined event is about technology and about means of optimizing costs and environmental effects. I'll cover the environmental part because my team earlier covered the rest. I believe it's important to link technology with ecology, as the excessive use of energy resources has a huge negative impact of the environment. One of our main purpose is breaking limits in technology-based projects, but in a safe and sustainable way. You know, the best out of the both worlds. Today, I'm going to introduce to you a different approach of the blockchain applicability, a project that is focused on community, sustainability, beneficial for every living creature and for future generations. The sweet spot where technology meets ecology, ladies and gentlemen, meet eternity. What is eternity? Eternity, we believe, and we like to believe, is the perfect match for those who wish to own a qualitative token while helping solve one of the top issues impacting climate change. Its secret being, obviously, like the success of every project we ever developed, its community involvement and its community presence to every single milestone we had so far. But, moreover, besides the community, we have the fast blockchain, but we'll talk about it a little bit later. I was going to present to you a small, short story about how we got here, why we need climate movements, why do we need to protect these environmental issues. But in brief, probably everybody knows, the awareness is everywhere. So I'm going to skip this part. In short, you know, trees give us oxygen. If we plant trees, we have more oxygen. If we cut them off, we are lacking oxygen. So I'm not going to continue with that. But during the lifetimes, trees act as carbon vaults, something in common with everything we have so far. So Eternity is a blockchain project with actual real-life usability. Now, we'll cover the reasons we believe one should get involved in our project. And no, unfortunately, money doesn't grow on trees, because you know what we all should be doing. But it surely can help plant them. So, every tree counts. For those who don't see from the back, I'm going to read it for you, but in brief. The loss of trees and vegetation leads to climate change, deforestation, increased soil erosion, and fewer crops. The second reason why should one invest in this type of project is the technology development. The third would be the improved environment quality. And the one I cannot emphasize enough is the reduced CO2 footprint we all live throughout our lives. And the last but not least, the reduced air pollution. Eternity is a project that aims to reduce emissions by launching a carbon-neutral, decentralized, and cryptographically secure infrastructure. And how does it work, you might wonder? Do you need to be really, really tech-savvy in order to be part of this type of projects? Well, no. It takes you only 4 steps, and probably you can see all of them from your seat. The first step is to find and select a location. We have a geomap location where you can pick out of your favorite, be it based on the most affected areas or be it the one closer to your soul, like your hometown area, for example. Second is select your tree, obviously. As you cannot plant any tree everywhere, you have a bunch and a variety of trees you can choose from. The third step, and probably the simplest step and most important, is plant the actual tree. But don't worry, we're not coming for you. We are going to take care of it. If you have invested in this project, we have a community of people, and we're bringing a lot more that could take care of this issue. But most of them, what do you know, are actual owners, not just, random people. They actually have a eternal tree in their vault. And 4, which is the most obvious, convert your tree into digital asset that is owned solely by you, their buyer. That's it. You don't have to learn anything, you don't have to code, you don't have to understand blockchain because we get it. Through Eternity platform, its users have the possibility to purchase 1 or more trees from the variety of the types. It's like you choose your character to be the planet's best player. As stated earlier, each purchased tree will be planted at the sole discretion of the owner. You decide what and where, as they are capable to choose not only the location, but which type of tree to plant. To go more in-depth with the blockchain, but I swear I'm not going to go too far, we are covering the following aspect. If blockchain isn't your cup of tea, which I get it, maybe it's your type of tree. Each of them eternity purchased is transformed into a token on the blockchain, which will contain the following information. Its location, we've mentioned earlier, in case you didn't catch it the trillion times I've mentioned. The tree type, that character you choose to fight the climate change with. The owner's details, like their name, nickname, or spy name. A personalized message you choose, like John and Karen sitting in, no, I'm not going to, but you can choose whatever message you feel. And the obvious timestamp. Amongst the benefits of owning an eternity token, we've identified 4 of the most obvious ones. As trees can outgrow us because they can live longer, like we have 100, 200, 300 years old in medium. Just a joke. Nervous. As trees can outgrow us and our attachment to things, the token is transferable, whether you want to pass it to future generations or to gift it to a dear one. And bright side for those with commitment issues. One can also transfer not only the asset, but also the ownership. And mostly because we mentioned sustainability and less pollution, the 2 most needed benefits are its blockchain, speed, and costs. Being on a fast blockchain with low trading costs reduces the unpleasant high gas fees encountered on other blockchains. Now, there's another category of users that may not want to use the transferable quality, and I'll tell you which one is it. It's the generation in a constant search for stimuli, or the players mentioned earlier. Well, like a game, a sales dashboard, or a diet, just to make sure I have the attention of the entire audience, there are bits of dopamine released every time we hit milestones over milestones. Well, same here. The idea of planting trees sounds nice. It makes you feel better about yourself, somehow conceptually, but actually being able to follow the impact you're making through your actions and be competitive with it, with yourself, your friends or strangers, or just to keep yourself accountable, brings everything to a whole nother level. And not just for the sake of reaching levels, but for the sake of being a good human being. Well, the platform offers multiple features and is developed with gamification approach to support exactly the mentioned behavior earlier. Each of you will be able to track its impact. For example, as you can see, there can be found data about the air quality, saved and protected wildlife and fauna, and the quantity of wood, just to name a few. Like in a game, For a boosted start, the company planted a tree for each sold device ever. Ever, which means more than 100,000 trees planted for all the devices. Just for a heads up. Moreover, our company implemented a new approach for the Eternity project. Each new project device receives an Eternity token. Therefore, we continue to plant trees for each future sales as well. Second, the development strategy of this project is based on the communities involved in discovering affected areas and actively reforesting them. That's why once an owner of Cryptodata device now the owner of the world's forests. Sorry. We hope this initiative inspires our members, our communities, our partners to join us in this following period of time with Eternity Project. In the meantime, to all of you watching us, don't forget to check if you are one of the 20 lucky winners of the giveaway we launched this time. That means, yes, we plant trees for those 20 devices as well. So we plant trees for every single one of you that took the time to be with us together, both online and both here in person in Bucharest. Therefore, welcome to the community and welcome to the Eternity platform. Before leaving, I'd like to thank you all of you for being here with us, thank our community, and thank my team for making everything possible. But remember, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago, but the second best time to plant a tree is now. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite our special guest and our special speaker. Thank you.
All right. Okay, gentlemen, this first question we have is two-part. What are the most significant barriers / difficulties encountered in developing electric cars is the first question. That'll be open to all of you. And then being one of the most prominent figures in the electric automotive industry, when do you project electric vehicles will outperform internal combustion engines? And I think that's Martin's going to handle that one. So, gentlemen, first, what are the most significant barriers encountered in developing electric cars? Who wants that one?
I'll take that one. I think the most significant barrier today is simply public perception of what an electric car can be. The concern about driving range and, will it go far enough and can I charge it? Once you own an electric car, you realize that this is really not a problem.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw a little?
Actually, in my opinion, the difficulties you're encountering while developing the EVs, in our opinion, is first of all the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Secondly, the technical limitations of the current energy storage solutions. Okay, I admit there might be plenty of experimental ways of storing energy in a very, very compact way. And actually, even yesterday evening, I had a brief chat with Martin regarding a few projects, amazing projects developed worldwide by certain entities and individuals. But unfortunately, neither the raw material is available at an affordable cost, or the technology of industrial manufacturing is not yet, I would say, mature enough to manufacture wide-scale storage solutions. And in my opinion, as a former engineer activating in the green energy field, energy storage is at its very beginnings right now. Okay, we know there's handheld pocket batteries in the past. We've had batteries for regular vehicles, for the startup, okay, power batteries, but not in-depth discharge batteries for long-term storage. So infrastructure, I would say, is the biggest difficulty. Secondly, development of storage and the weight of the current storage, because there's a balance all the time. Whether you add more battery packs to the vehicle, you make it weight a lot more. So then you lose a lot of traction, you lose a lot of power, you need a lot of current to make it run. So then it's for nothing to add so many batteries if you waste it with more consumption. So I think these two subjects are, in my opinion, the biggest challenges. On top of that, also the mentality of the consumers. EV consumers, the drivers, the owners, they're still used to drive a diesel car, just because it's more easy to maintain, sometimes easier to fuel, sometimes it takes you like 45 minutes to fuel up, 45 seconds to fuel up your car, and you're good to go. And most likely the comfort and that feeling of, I was used with this. I was used to hear an engine, to hear an exhaust, to go racing without issues, and to be able to repair it, to maintain it in a corner shop. Whether on an EV, it's a little bit more complicated.
Of course, your gasoline engine has about 150 moving parts, and your electric vehicle has just one. So the maintenance is much, much less. No smog checks, no oil changes. But yeah, but and I think that I think that the energy storage field will continue to improve. We'll get more energy dense and cheaper, and maybe we'll have some portion of our battery be swappable, as you suggest. I think all of these are good, but I think we're already to the point where they're easier to drive. I mean, if you think about the charging infrastructure, I charge my car at home, and I never charge when I'm out driving because I don't drive more than 200 miles a day, right? And I also do own a gasoline car, which is the old junker car that I leave at the airport when I travel, for example. And this one is the one I have range anxiety about because I need to go someplace to get petrol for it, whereas my electric car is fully charged every morning when I get up. So the amount of time it takes me to charge my car is actually 10 seconds. I come home and I put the charger in.
Indeed, that's, I would say, the best approach. It takes me exactly 10 seconds to charge my car. We have to learn that and actually exceed the barrier and go over the barriers of the of the EVs and implement the EVs.
It's a perception thing, for sure. Yes.
Excellent. Sebastian, do you want to weigh in on that one?
Well, I mean, aside the construction issues that you mentioned and the usability, I think the next big thing for electric cars and cars in general will be the AI component for autonomous driving.
I think not just for autonomous driving, but for even advanced safety systems within cars. I think the AI-based advanced safety systems will take over before we have full autonomous cars. Just make us all better drivers.
Excellent.
Hopefully.
Martin, being one of the most prominent figures in the electric automotive industry, when do you project electric vehicles will outperform internal combustion engines, or do you predict that they will?
Well, when you say outperform, I mean already electric cars are faster.
True,
so my car
true.
Already,
that 0 to 60 sort of hurts.
My car outperforms most cars already, and this is a 10-year-old electric car now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but in terms of cost outperforming, I think we're a few years away. I think we're very close to the point where the electric car is just cheaper.
Excellent. Okay, gentlemen, next question. What do you think about the level of maturity of the self-drive technology? And when do you think we can truly rely on the self-drive technology in order to be 100% safe?
If I go first, I'm cranky on this subject, so maybe you guys should go first.
I would take this one, actually. So first of all, I would say 100% security when it comes to computers will never exist. And I mean it. Of course, as random in computing is not actually random, it's a pseudo-random. The same with the security. 100% security is actually a pseudo 100% security. So this being said, autonomous driving, in my opinion, okay, it exists. It exists for like 8 years now, thanks to what Martin built in his career. But in the end of the day, it's all about relying on it. Because autonomous driving is implemented by most of the manufacturers. Is it reliable on a long-run drive? Not exactly, for the moment. Technology still needs to adapt, still needs to evolve. Hardware needs to evolve. Shortly, we'll probably go to 7 nano chipsets, and then we might have a lot more wide opening for AI on board, because also AI is resource consuming. In an electric vehicle, for the moment, it's kind of hard to fit that much computing power you might need to process everything you might think about in order to get close to 100% secured. And let's not forget the risks of integrating the EVs and the normal vehicles, the regular petrol vehicles, the combustion engines. Integrating them, and the more they get smarter, the more issues you might have in terms of security. In terms of, let's take an example, for example. Imagine you're in the future, in the next 10 years, and the car is about to pick up your kid from school and bring him home. But what if that car is hijacked, is hacked? What if the software is virused? And you get a ransomware to see your kid at home. That's a real issue. It might occur, even though it looks science fiction. Ransomware exists.
Right.
For a few years, big corporates were hit with ransomwares. Ransomware in an EV, playing with your life, is not exactly something you would feel comfy with. So I would say there is at least 5-10 years till you can rely somehow on an EV to pick up your kid from school and bring him home safe
Okay.
So-
Sebastian, technology standpoint, what are your thoughts?
Talking about when EVs will take over, I personally think that will start from 2025 onwards, because most German car producers will actually shift their production to 100% EV
You bet.
in Central Europe.
Yeah. So on the autonomous driving front, I think that the security aspect of autonomous driving is a solvable problem, and I think the kind of work that you're doing is the right way. I think you're down the path of solving that issue. My concern is much more with the software complexity, and you're talking about even adding more computing power and therefore more software into a system that is already insanely complex. Just as an example, my wife drives a Tesla Model S. She's been driving it now for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. And this car gets a software update, an over-the-air software update, every few months. And almost without fail, these software updates come with some bugs. For a while there, it would, for no reason, open the charge port door. Later on, the screen in the middle would crash and have to reboot. Later on, some other problem. These are all small, they're annoying, they don't mean very much. But if that software bug was in the software that controls my gas pedal, controls my steering, controls my brakes, then it's a real problem, right? And it's not like Tesla's doing something wrong. It is that we don't know how to make provably correct complex systems.
As I call it all the time, it's pioneering engineering. It's not regular engineers. And I all the time say it, you don't just need a bunch of engineers to sort out this development. Okay, in a regular job, 8 to 10, you do these tasks on a daily basis. Okay, if you're an engineer, you can do those tasks, you can perform those tasks. But when it's about developing, innovating technology, you need an engineer at the same time with capabilities of innovation, flexibility, nothing by the book actually. It's pioneering, research, develop, you fail, you start once more, you make a bug, you laugh of yourself, you repair, and you release the update.
The only trouble is if your mistake and your laughing is about a car that killed somebody.
Indeed.
This is the difference between a software crash on my iPhone and a software crash in a car. Yeah. This is what scares me. So I think it'll be a while before we really feel comfortable about having most of our cars being autonomous.
Okay. Next question from your experience. What do you think about Momentum's integrated technologies? And do you consider they can speed up the transition from internal combustion engines to electric vehicles? Who would like to take that one first?
Go ahead.
Actually, I'm quite subjective, I would say, because it's a project we developed. I mean, it's our dream coming true. We are aware we're still at the very, very, very beginning of the road. We're aware of that. We're aware we are at the very beginning of the road in terms of long run, in terms of reliability. Okay, it's not enough to build something as a concept, as a technology, as long as you don't have a few years of testing in a real-life model to test the technology and see whether it is reliable on long term, see whether the materials, see whether the software, the computing, building up supply chains nowadays is actually a big issue as well, a big challenge, building up the supply chain. I mean, even in a regular world, like let's think 3 years ago, before the pandemic and before these issues with the politics and so, even at that time it was complicated to build up relationship with the suppliers. And let's take an example. Martin gave it to me last night, and I think that is the best. He said, when I built my first car, I went to a certain supplier, I don't give the name, to ask him, I want to buy a certain component from you, I want you to help me develop a custom component for me, for my EV. And the supplier said, okay, I would, but you're at the very beginning of the stage, and you're about probably to order 500 units of it. So actually, on a larger scale, still, major companies have these issues. Thinking of our project, we barely built one, and we're probably about to build a few more in the next year. But still, it's a matter of, okay, what's my standing point when I go in a negotiation with one of the big players in the automotive industry manufacturing? Okay, I go there to ask for, I don't know, a new steering wheel. Am I going to buy a series of 1 million of them to get a good price, to get a company who has plenty of experience to engage in R&D for my custom project? Of course not.
Right.
So then either they kick me out or they give me something from the shelf.
Welcome to my world.
So either or indeed, it's...
But I think, let me just answer this question a different way, that I think that even as a small-scale project right now, I think that you're focusing on building a platform for proving your blockchain technology for secure communications is a step forward. All right? I think this is significant, and I think that this may become a piece of more connected cars in the future.
Exactly. I think our position should be continuous on R&D, engineering, software and hardware oriented. Okay, applied into the automotive industry, but actually I'm not viewing our company in the next 10 years running a full factory of EVs, for sure not.
Right.
For sure, I still see our company positioned in the future as a supplier of technology, smart technology, whether we're talking about hardware or software, for the autonomous, actually for the electrical vehicles industry.
Got you. And Sebastian, your take on the looking at your presentation and integrated technologies and how they affect what it is you're doing. How do you see integrated technologies speeding up that transition from internal combustion to electric?
Yes, of course. I mean that's why we're presenting it on the same event, basically, right? Yeah, I mean, our new blockchain technology will definitely skyrocket that development because that's what it's made for. And talking about the security issues that a gentleman mentioned, I mean, that's exactly where our products target, right? The idea is to be able to transfer information from our knowledge network towards devices, and such a device could also be an EV, right? And that's the whole idea about building this ecosystem, in order to be able to transfer that information, and it could, for example, the information of a road, on a secure basis.
Okay, and building on that, last question will be, and this is free for all. Do you think that blockchain technology will truly improve the automotive industry?
For sure I do. For sure I trust blockchain technology can improve plenty of industries. And as my previous colleagues, I think Andrei actually mentioned, blockchain is not about cryptocurrency, even though sometimes it's mistakenly understood. Blockchain is a technology. The application might be financial, might be industrial, might be ledger, database, AI, communication, encryption, or so on. Various industries. Looking at blockchain applicated in the EV, in the vehicles industry, for sure we trust, because I mean, 4 years ago that was our vision. I still trust the vision. I still keep the idea and the direction of our development. Indeed, the problem is the mass penetration of blockchain technology in the world,
right,
among the companies, and I mean it corporates. The corporates usually never implement the technology without having proper feedbacks, proper measuring, proper testing, proper engineers, and mature enough technology in the market. And as you probably know, blockchain is not yet a super mature technology. So I expect companies like us, small enterprises from all over the world, would shy and start to develop technology, blockchain-based for the for the vehicles industry. But I don't expect the big players to approach it in the next few years. That's why actually I see a premium in what we do.
Right.
This is always the opportunity for startup companies, yes. I thought when we started making the Tesla Roadster that we would have maybe a 5-year head start on the big auto companies, and I was wrong. It was at least 10 years. Yeah.
Excellent. All right, gentlemen, Ovidiu, Martin, Sebastian, thank you for sharing your thoughts with the crowd. Ladies and gentlemen,
thanks, guys.
A round of applause for our Q&A.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Go ahead, guys. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's come to an end. We just want to thank you for coming out and sharing your time with us today. It's truly been a wonderful event with great guest speakers and Cryptodata and Momentum and what can we say? You see what's happening in the present, you got a glimpse of what's going to happen in the future. So with that being said, once again, thank you for coming out, thanking our special guests for being here, and thank the audience. Take care. And come on up and have a peek at the car, take some pictures if you want, just, crowd around. If you didn't get enough photos for Instagram, Facebook, come take some photos. You're invited.